Happy New Year from the Gotta Get Running crew. I'm Phil Hargis. Alongside me is Chris Farley. Chris, good to see you again.
How you doing, Phil?
Doing good. How was your holidays and how's your New Year off?
It's good. It's January 15th as we tape, and I don't know if can you still say Happy New Year at this point?
I've been saying it.
All right, fair enough. It's been going great. We've had a great holiday season at the store, and we're excited for the weather to turn in the next couple months, and looking forward to a great 2014.
And as we talked about, you have a lot of races coming up. For the Pacers calendar.
February 2nd, our first race, Super Bowl 5K. Well, we can't call it the Super Bowl 5K. It's the First Down 5K.
First Down 5K.
First Down 5K, February 2nd, so look forward to that. By the way, who do you have in the Super Bowl?
Okay.
I want you on the record. We are taping again, like I said, January 15th, on the record. Who do you got?
Well, I'm glad we've gone through the first 2 rounds of the playoffs because my pre-playoff predictions were really bad. I had we're not going to talk about that.
Right.
But now I'm going back to the original. I think that Peyton Manning's going to blow it against Tom Brady. Brady's going to win the game. And I think Seattle, no doubt about it, gets
Seattle will beat. I think I have the same. I think I have the same Super Bowl Seattle and the Patriots, but I think the Patriots come out victorious. But
well, we have with us another guest analyst who
yeah, exactly. Well, we weren't here to talk football, but we are excited to be joined by Vic Culp. He's the executive director of Race Timing Unlimited. Vic, welcome to the program.
How you doing?
Good. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for coming out, Vic. We have a lot of we cover a little background on our show. We cover the local running community scene here in the Washington D.C. area, but Fredericksburg is part of that community, and a lot of our viewers have been participating in the runs here in the Northern Virginia area. But there's actually other things here just outside the Washington D.C. area that the runners could definitely be exposed to, maybe to try something a little bit different. And then that's where you come in. You organize some races down in the Fredericksburg area. So let's go ahead and talk about that here shortly. But why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
I started Race Time Unlimited about 7 years ago. I'm one of the co-founders of the Fredericksburg Area Running Club. We're in our 20th year right now. We're celebrating our 20th anniversary on April 9th. Fredericksburg area, the club actually hosts 5 races. I host and manage 6 races from Race Time Unlimited. And we also time probably another 60 or 70 races that we don't manage for other activities and other nonprofits down in the Fredericksburg area. And we actually also go up to West Virginia, a couple of races in Fairfax and down in Richmond.
So a lot of our viewers are obviously they're big into running and want to know how did you get into the business? Were you a runner before? Has this always been something you've done?
I started running seriously in the early 90s. Mm-hmm. I was probably 35 years old.
Okay.
At that point, I said I wanted to run a marathon before I got too old. And this, 35 years old, I'm going to be too old when I'm 37 to run a marathon.
Right.
And after my first marathon, I ran Marine Corps in '93. There was an article in the newspaper, or a little ad. John Robbins, he wanted to form a group of runners in Fredericksburg because everybody was just running on their own. And he had a meeting, and about 5 of us got together and said, okay, let's put together a club.
Yeah.
I had participated in RRCA races, Road Runners Club America races, in the 70s, when I was right out of high school. And I knew the organization, so I said, let's look into that and become an RRCA club. So FARC became an RRCA club in April. John, he was a liver transplant recipient, and he claims that he was the first one to never run a marathon before his transplant, but ran a marathon after his transplant. And unfortunately, he passed away in '98. Mm-hmm. But he was a real good organizer and getting people out to participate in activities out there, and the club grew. And then I took over as president 2 years after founding the club. And it moved on. I was treasurer for a while. Mm-hmm. And then in the 2007, my oldest daughter was married. My youngest daughter graduated from college. I'd been working in IT for 30 years, and I said, no, I want to do something else. And one of the activities the Fredericksburg Area Running Club had was the Great Train Race.
Okay.
The Great Train Race at one point was the largest timed kids-only run in the nation. We had 3,500 kids one year, and I was responsible for timing that event.
And you had no previous
Oh,
experience.
I've been timing races for the Fredericksburg Running
okay,
Club
so you
since
had them.
'94.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
And
What was the distance of this race?
1 mile.
1 mile. Okay.
1 mile. That year, 2007, we had 16 heats,
Wow.
and it went for 4 hours on a Sunday morning, on a road in the downtown Fredericksburg.
Yeah. Right.
So I'd experienced timing it,
Right.
but we were doing a manual timing for 3,500 kids
Oh man.
with chutes and everything. And at that point, it was hard to say these results were really
Were
great.
completely
Sometime the
accurate.
manual, the
Right.
chute didn't quite get in there for some of the heats.
So for those of you who don't know about race timing, you have only run races recently where you just have a chip, on your ankle or your shoe or something like that. You would be these race timers would be there with time machines. They would have chutes. They would close off the chutes, and no one could move out of the chutes until you accounted for all the people in the chutes, and then you change chutes, and then I can't imagine 3,500 people.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Fortunately, it was in 16 heats, so it was,
Right,
it was
right. So it was-
16
right.
mad finishes with 200 kids in each of the heats.
Right. Wow, that's impressive.
So at that point, the company I was working with, IT, I wanted to try something new. I wanted to get more into managing people and I was doing. So I said, there has to be a better way to do this. And
Yeah.
also, why is Fredericksburg have the largest kids-only timed race in the country?
Right.
And I said,
That's a nice
if we-
little stat there.
If
That's
we
a
can,
fun
if
fact
we can
there.
do
That's
this,
crazy.
why
Yeah.
can't we do this someplace
Right,
else?
right, absolutely.
So I said, well, let's try to put an organization together, use chip timing for the kids, and some way we can get the chips on at the beginning and take them off at the end without losing chips. And not really pre-assign them. So we developed a way to actually time a race. The only thing we haven't been able to do is really spread this concept out to other communities.
Right.
Everybody has their concept of how a kid's run is supposed to happen.
Right.
And we were able to actually, we do have a race down in Richmond now. Nova Aquatics puts on a race in Richmond at Short Pump Mall. And they have 12 heats, and they're up to about 1,600 kids now.
Wow.
And
And you
they've been
define
going-
kids by 18 and under 18?
18 and
okay,
under.
wow, that's a huge growth in this running,
Right.
running scene. That's
and
amazing.
The first year of the Great Train Race, I think there was 400 kids, and they went up to 35, and we're averaging right around 2,500 right now.
And what's the average finishing time for? I guess there's a huge age spectrum there, but
Average finishing time?
yeah, for a group like that, I mean, it could be anything over those age spectrums, I suppose.
You have some real good, even the younger runners are running, I think, 8-minute miles, and the 6-year-olds. And I don't know exactly what our
Right.
records are on that, but I think our course record is 4:19 for the boys. And the girls is a low 5.
What's your fastest mile, Chris?
Not 4:19. Wow, that's impressive. That's how businesses kind of start. You see a need, and then you defined it at this kids race. Did you guys have a chip timing system at the time that you began to use, or?
When that first year after I started Race Time Unlimited, that's when we looked into winning time.
Okay.
They had neoprene ankle straps rather than tying chips in the shoes, so that we could put the chip on the kid at the beginning. When he crossed the finish line, we pull the strap
grab it,
off
right.
and throw it in the buckets. And that was one of the downfalls of the original chip systems that we couldn't really use because they were tied in the shoelaces. We were sitting there and tying
shoes, and
2,000
kids, and there's a
shoes.
backup, and absolutely.
So that worked well. And at the same time that I bought the winning time system for Race Time Unlimited, we then started timing other races rather than just the kids' races. We timed the Fredericksburg Area Running Club has a 12-race Grand Prix series. Cola Banker Elites put it on, been the sponsor for the last 19 years. And we also timed that race series for our first year. And then over time, we've just had more and more races come to us asking us to time races. So, and right now, as I say, we're timing about 70 races. First couple of years, though, we had a lot of open spots in the calendar.
Right.
So that's when I was starting to manage our 6 races. One of the races was our 50K that I started in the middle of the summer of, I think our first year was 2009.
Right.
And then I'm the manager of the Blue Gray Half Marathon in December. We have a race on New Year's Day, so we've actually had our first race already for the year.
Wow.
And then we do a Sweethearts Run, and then we do a Trail Half Marathon in February.
So that's the next one that's coming up here. It's the Dahlgren Trail Half Marathon. That's coming up here on February 15th. Tell us a little bit about that race. What's going to happen? What the runners can expect down there, and how they can go about registering for that race.
Our website, racetimelimited.org.
Okay.
They can register online. They can register in the mail. We're almost full on that race. We have a cap of 225 runners. It's a old rail bed. The 50K, we first managed the 50K in August of 2009. That runs the entire rail bed from where it changed from rail and they've moved it over to dirt. The half marathon, we start on the western end and run the first 6.5 miles out, turn around and come back. We have the trailhead there on Route 605, holds about 100 cars in the parking lot, and we have a little overflow, so we cap it about 225 runners.
That was the same starting line as the 50K then?
It's the same starting line as the 50K that we did this last August. The surface in the western end of the trail is nice. It's there's some pine needles out there, some real nice canopy, so you're not in the sun. A little bit of crushed stone, a little bit of gravel here and there, but it's really a nice running surface. It's wide, but I would still say you have to think about when you're doing trail running. Look up, fall down.
Right.
So you still have to watch your footing, but it's not really that bad.
It's not super technical trail.
Definitely not technical
but
trail.
definitely a different experience than a lot of the DC runners would experience here. If you run, the Rock and Roll USA half marathon, I mean, it's going to be a lot different experience and probably a welcome change to a lot of our runners. So a neat one that's almost sold out. So sign up soon if you haven't.
So then you come down there in February and you're hooked on running on the trail system there, and maybe you can come back a couple months later after 6 months of training and try your hand at something a little bit longer.
Right, 50K. August
2nd. So this is one of the hottest times. Now I don't get down to Fredericksburg too much. I hear it's 50 miles south.
And this is on the northern neck.
Okay.
In King George County.
Is the temperature different than DC August 2nd in Fredericksburg?
It's probably a little more humid.
Okay.
And since it's in the northern neck, there's probably a little swampy area out there too. You don't run through the swamp. You can see it on both sides of the trail. When they put the railroad line out there, they went right through there. And, but there's probably a little bit of humidity out there. Phil has run it the last couple of years.
That's how you met Phil.
Participated in it.
Right.
And I've run ultras for 18, 19 years now. I finished JFK for 18 times in a row. And an ultra, there has to be a challenge in it besides just the distance. If you're either going to go up a hill or a mountain, whatever it is, or you go to Alaska, run on the ice, go out to Badwater, there's some challenge out there besides just running a 50K.
Right.
Marathons are all at there about the time. You got to have to run a Boston qualifier. You have to compare your time from this course to over here, PR here.
Right, yeah.
Trail running and 50Ks, it's all about the experience of running and how you do on that day in those conditions, and understand your body so that you can adapt to hot weather in Virginia.
Right.
And how can I run this race out there and compete and be able to finish an event out there when it's, the average temperature of the start, it's been in the high 60s, dew point's been in the high 60s, and it gets up in the 90s.
Yeah.
But you know that when getting into this event. King George Fire and Rescue asked me why I put the 50K on in the middle of summer and not the half marathon.
Right.
And I'm saying, if you had the half marathon, they'll be killing themselves out here. Because they don't know how to pace themselves and run in this heat.
Right.
Where these guys out here running 50Ks, they know what they're getting into.
Right.
And they're prepared out there. They know what their eating plan is.
Right.
They know what they have to adapt to. So I feel a lot more comfortable running them, the 50K people in the summer and the half marathon in the winter.
So you find that the majority of the runners well, if you could generalize, like the majority of the runners that come to run your race in the 50K then are more seasoned ultra runners as opposed to the person that's looking to make their jump from marathon to ultra for the first time, or is it a mixture?
It's a mixture. I'm not going to say if you've never run an ultra, this is a bad ultra to run. It's totally flat.
Yeah.
It's on a it's on a rail bed.
And it's like you said, it's canopied in the summertime,
It's
so
canopied.
you're not out there baking in the sun the whole time.
You don't have to worry about climbing hills. If you've run marathons, 1 or 2 marathons, you should be able to jump to this 50K without a problem.
Yeah, I totally agree.
But you just have to be a little bit more aware of what you're getting into. You just can't think about, okay, you can't show up the start line and say, how long is this race?
Right.
I actually had somebody at the half marathon a couple years ago show up and say, well, how long is this race?
Right.
Because
I hope they were kidding. No?
they were not kidding. In Canada, the word marathon means a long run.
Oh, yeah.
It does not mean 26.2 miles.
The Comrades marathons.
That's what I can't believe I just learned that, because I hear all the time, how long is this marathon? And I'm thinking, you idiot, everything is 26.2. Okay. Thank you for shedding some light on that for me.
The software company I worked for, they were headquartered out of Montreal.
Okay.
So I learned things like that from visiting up there.
Canadians who've been asking me this.
10Ks are marathons for them. Did you run this 10K
All right.
marathon?
All right, right on. Okay, so next person asks me, I'll just ask them if they're from Quebec, Montreal, or what province of Canada they're from. That makes
Of course, you can also go down to South Africa, and a marathon down there could be 54 miles.
Yeah,
That's right.
Comrades.
So,
Have you seen the growth? I mean, has that been, this 50K, has it been a big growth in the last few years?
first year we had 70 runners, and we've got up to about 100 runners. We've sort of, we haven't capped it. We've sort of
Leveled off
at
there.
100.
Okay.
Trail could handle 300 runners without a problem. I think our volunteers could handle 300 runners without a problem. That's wide enough, and so we're good on that.
It sounds like a great challenge. I'd love to. And you've been down there a couple times.
I got great stories of, down there. The volunteers are great, and the aid stations are plentiful. There's one roughly every 4 miles.
We've got roughly every 4 miles. It's mile 4, mile 8, 12.5, and then turn around at 15.5, and then you hit the same ones on the way back. The trail initially was 15.5 miles, except there's a rifle range right in the middle of it. So
Which you can hear.
You can hear, and you can see some of their...
It is manned by one of the aid stations.
Our aid station at mile 8 is manned by the gun club on the rifle range.
They actually told me to come out shooting after the race. It's like,
you're running down the trail and you see the signs, rifle impact zone ahead, and there's a gate across it, so we actually have a bypass around that, so that is the only real hills on the course. So we have to go up a little bit, and there is single track for probably, I think, 1/8 of a mile each way. But you do hear the rifle fire out there. And
it's not really
the joke really is that these are people who have passed out, so we have to shoot and put out of their misery. But you see it on the way out, see it on the way back. And the first time I ran the trail out there, I was surprised to see that impact zone out there. And they wanted to open it up, but since I had measured the course with the bypass on a weekday, I said, let's keep it on the bypass rather than worrying about opening up the gates and to run through the impact zones. The volunteers that we have for the race, they are part of the Dahlgren Railroad Heritage Trail Association. They're the ones that actually maintain the trail.
Okay.
And then also part of the gun club, they are also members of that association.
Because that rail trail is private property.
Rail trail is private property. The trail was built in 1942. The main north-south line came through Fredericksburg, and to get supplies out to the Dahlgren Naval Base, they needed to build a rail line. So they just basically went right down the ridge with a rail line. Unfortunately, in eastern King George, there was a Black Baptist church, and they had their cemetery out there, and the Navy didn't care. They went right through the cemetery. And that was just what they needed. That's what they thought they needed to do at the time. And when the trail was bought after the Navy abandoned it, they had an agreement between the church and the trail to not use that part of the trail. So now there's negotiation that has finalized now that they've swapped land, so they gave that land back to the church, and they have a little fringe area going around the cemetery. So we can now run from the western end to the eastern end to be a true 50K.
That's, yeah.
First couple of years we started out of Caledon State Park, and then had to run some road to get down to the trail because we didn't have that extra mile at the east end.
All right.
Or I guess 2 miles at the east end now, mile out, mile back. So.
Well, I'll definitely look forward to doing those. Sound like a couple of great races on that trail. You do direct a couple others though that are not trail races, and we mentioned the Blue Gray Half Marathon. And what other?
We have Sweethearts 4 mile.
Yep.
That's
That's coming up February.
February 9th.
February 9th. Okay.
We have a couples category.
That's actually their next one. I think
That's
you
the next
mentioned.
one.
Yeah, you mentioned the Dahlgren
on the 15th.
It's the 15th, the week after. Okay.
Right. The Sweethearts 4 mile, we have a couples category. It's a great time of year because you'll have the wives come out and say, I want to get back into shape.
Right.
It's the first race of the year. You have to come run with me. Or the other way around. I want to get back into shape. You have to
Steve,
come
are
run
you
with me.
listening to this on there?
But it's we had about 450 last year.
Okay.
Couple wise, we had I think we probably had 70 to 100 couples last year.
Wow. That's
And
awesome.
we define a couple as anybody who's been in a monogamous relationship for at least a year. So you can't find somebody off the street that runs fast, come run our race, and win the category.
Now, how do you background check on that? You just trust what they're saying?
We trust what they
I'm sure
say.
the Runners
You
are
have to
very
sign your
trust
waiver
what they-
form, right?
but-
runners are very truthful.
We know most of the
they are.
fast runners,
Yeah, so you're not going to.
so we know who their relationships are.
Great.
And then we actually
a neat concept.
age grade the results for the couples, and we gender grade it.
Oh, okay.
So you can have a 50-year-old couple, and they're competing with a
open.
20-year-old couples,
Yeah.
and they're winning the awards.
That's a pretty neat way to do it.
So-
Yeah, there's not enough of that. That's a really neat race. And then we mentioned the kids run, and then there was which other run?
Then I had New Year's Day race,
New Year's Day race, okay.
and then we also have a 5K that we run, Twilight Race, that we support a Fredericksburg Christian Health Center. We do that on the last Saturday evening of July. Once again, in the middle of summer. But it's a nice evening race, starts at 7:30 out of Spotsylvania Courthouse Village. It's a new, they built out some new structures down there to help with the government center and trying to get more people into the Spotsylvania
Yeah,
area.
I think he mentioned this too, that that these races are during times where there's not a lot of other races going on, so those are a great opportunity to get down to Fredericksburg, check it out, spend a weekend,
spend a weekend
see the
down there.
awesome trails, do a race. So that is that's something really neat about your races, and they're authentic too. Obviously, you're an authentic runner. From your bio, it said you run 60 marathons. It's probably more than that now, and a number of ultras and a 100-miler. So you're a pretty authentic, good runner in your own right.
I would say I'm a average runner. I'm an average person.
Yeah, right.
I think what I've done, anybody, if they put their mind to it, could do what I've been able to do. I'm not that fast. I know there's people that run a lot more than I have in the way of ultras, but if you just keep doing it, keep putting one foot forward, you get through it. It's interesting. I got involved with JFK in '96. I tried to run a qualifier for Boston. I missed it by I ran my best marathon for a qualifier after the qualifying period, but I was still 2 minutes. I was 2 minutes slow.
Right.
So that same year, I ran, I think, 9 marathons, and I ran JFK for the first time in '96.
Okay.
And
then haven't stopped
and
since.
haven't stopped
18
since.
in a row.
18 in a row. And 19 this coming November.
That's impressive.
So
you run
but I'm getting
JFK,
slower.
you get
I'm
hooked.
getting slower.
Yeah, right.
I mean, the first year was low 8s. Now I'm low 12s.
Wow.
So we're
Low 8s is moving.
Yeah.
My one experience with JFK was, I've run a number of marathons. It wasn't pleasant. It was a tough.
Yeah.
I got a lot more respect than I did before, but for you ultra guys. I know Phil had a good experience at JFK and got through it, and so
Vic and I were out there together, and we probably crossed paths a couple times along the route too. But yeah, it's great. I mean, the Fredericksburg is definitely a cool place to like get out there and check out like a different type of racing environment than we have here in Washington D.C. He puts on very well organized races. After the races, they have these cookouts and hamburgers and.
That's the other good part about ultras.
The food, the food. You eat all along the way.
Even our half marathon, blue gray half marathon, pizza. Krispy Kreme. We have a Krispy Kreme shop right at the finish line.
Yeah.
Pizza. We have an excellent soup afterwards.
And he has hotels that he's partnered with down there, and you go in the hotel, and like they actually have driving directions to the start line and everything. It's pretty well thought out. And,
yes.
So there's no worries once you get down there about like trying to find where you need to go for these races.
And to stay in for the 50K, unfortunately the start finish line is 16 miles from the closest hotel, either east or west. But we do allow you to camp overnight in the parking lot if you want.
And a lot of people do camp out there.
I don't know if they did. We have porta pots. Porta pots are out there. Right. We just say no open fires, and you can stay overnight out there. And it's the same thing you'll see most ultras that you'll have camping at the start line. So.
And it's like your typical ultra. Like everybody's really supportive of each other. Though sometimes people will come up and run up next to you and talk to you. You'll see the guys coming and going out and coming back. See, there's plenty of people out there. There's no shortage of on-course camaraderie or anything out there, and it's a really great experience. I had great stories both times I run your race. Had a gal that stopped and kind of ran with me until I got timed out on the first one, and then last year just talked to all kinds of interesting people as to having a fun run out there through the 23-mile aid station, and was able to get a great ride back from one of the guys there that was coming to get his drop back.
Come from the gun club? You stop at the gun club?
I should have gone there, but I was with a buddy of mine. They should free admission to the gun club today.
Joe actually also grew some peppers and some other, I think some squash in his yard. And we were grilling those at the finish line.
Oh man!
For the burgers and the hot dogs
I
out
did
there.
sneak back to the finish line to get a burger. But hey, Vic, I wanted to thank you for joining us today on Gotta Get Running. For more information on Vic and his races, you can go to racetimingunlimited.org. And if you're interested in the Fredericksburg Area Running Club, you can go to runfarc.com. Thanks for coming up here and joining us today, Vic.
Great, thank you.
And on behalf of Chris Farley, Pacers Running Stores, I'm Phil Hargis, and we will see you guys next time on Gotta Get Running. Goodbye, everybody.